Hello students, welcome to the pole science of class 11 arts, and today we will continue with the other four merits of the bicameral legislature. In the previous class we read about the first four merits of bicameral legislature, which was point number 1, prevents despotism on a single house, point number 2, check on hasty legislation, then number 3, reduces burden of legislature, and number 4, representation of different interest. Now we will proceed with the fifth point or fifth advantages of the bicameral legislature, that is, there is a possibility of detailed discussion. So under this head, in bicameralism there is a possibility of detailed discussion. Generally the membership of the second chamber is limited, so it can be discussed, or it can discuss the bills in detail before it is enacted. That means what? As there are two houses, the upper house and the lower house, so there is always a possibility that whatever the laws are framed, before framing only, before its enactment or before it is brought into effect, before that only they can have a thorough discussion on that particular law, and this discussion can be made in both the houses. So after that, when discussions are made and there is a positive note to pass the bill or law, that can be done. So there is always a possibility of detailed discussions over that. Everything can be solved through discussion, and in bicameral legislature there is a possibility of detailed discussions in every topic. Now number 6 is, it is less politicized. So under this head, as the member of second chamber are nominated, they represent the intellectuals and they work without the biasness of political affinities. This will be biasness. So as we know that it's the nature of bicameral legislature that persons from different communities are included actually. They can be of sportsmen, they can be from the literature background, they can be from the minority background. So in this way what will happen, it will give a positive effect, and we can say that as the people are from different sections of the society, this will actually give the legislature, that is the bicameral legislature, that it can be like less politicized. That means politics will be not that much that it is prevalent in the unicameral legislature, as because the persons that are involved in the bicameral legislature are actually from different backgrounds. So in this case there is a very small chances that these people can become corrupted, and as a result what will happen, the scenario or the environment under this bicameral legislature will be less politicized. Clear? After that, number 7 merits is, it is essential for federation. So as we know that if we can take example of one country that is supporting federalism, we can take our own country, that is India. So as related to India, we can tell that bicameral legislature is very much essential and helpful also for the countries that are following federalism. The lower houses represents the people and the upper house represents the states. The lower house stands for the natural principle while the upper house stands for federal principles. So why it is very much essential? Because in bicameral what happens, the lower houses, as I have told you earlier, as we take example from India or from the country India, in this case the lower houses or the Lok Sabha is where the members are elected by us through the right to vote. But in the Rajya Sabha, that is the upper house, it represents the states. That means the people from different categories or from different spheres. So the lower houses, as the members are elected from the people, they stands for what? Natural principle. They are there to focus their from wherever the constituencies they are elected, they are there to focus their own problems, while the upper state stands for federal principles. And on the other hand, as upper house are done through the indirect elections, or the members of the upper house are elected through indirect elections, so in that case that upper house stands for federal principles. Remember this. This is the major difference between the lower house and upper house, that the lower house stands for national principle and the upper house stands for federal principle. After that, moving on to the next advantage, that it is perfect and sound laws. So regarding this heading, bicameral legislature enables the legislatures to make perfect and sound laws. It helps to correct the errors committed by the lower houses or house. That means what, as we have discussed earlier, that whatever mistakes, if the mistakes are done by the lower houses, then it can be rectified and revised in the upper houses, as the laws that are to be framed should be passed by both the houses. So in that case, what will happen? It will help the other houses or the upper houses to rectify the mistakes that has been committed by the lower houses. So in this way, what will happen as a result? It can give its country a better and a perfect law that will be made keeping in mind of the people of that particular country, or keeping in mind about the development and welfare of that particular citizens of that particular country. After that, last advantages or advantage of bicameral legislature is it has conservative attitude. So bicameral legislature is having conservative attitude. The member of this house are generally aged and experienced. They can prevent any hasty legislations. Clear? So regarding this is one of the most important points regarding the advantages. This is number 9 and the last point related to the merits of bicameral legislature, that it has conservative attitude. That means bicameral legislature has conservative attitude. And why it has conservative attitude? Because it has people, or it includes peoples that are very aged, or you can say that are aged or have vast experience. So when that particular legislature will have people like 50 plus years of age and will have vast experience, so these two things will again do what? These two things, namely the age factor and the experience of that particular minister, will help to the age and experience of that particular ministers or of all the ministers will help to prevent any mistakes that has been done or that are to be done. Clear? So they can prevent hasty legislations over that due to their experiences they will prevent all these mistakes that can be or that could happen. So this is one of the most important point regarding the merits or advantages of bicameral legislature. Clear? So today we have read about all the 9 advantages of bicameral legislature, in which point number 1 was it prevents despotism of a single house. After that, number 2 point was it puts a check on hasty legislation. The number 3 was bicameral legislature reduces burden of legislature. That means the workload are distributed evenly. After that, it has representation of different interests. That means different sections of the society are there. Point number 5 was there is a possibility of detailed discussion. As there are 2 houses, so any law that are to be framed should be passed by both the houses. After that, number 6 point was it is less politicized, for the fact that there are people representing every sections of society. So in this case, no one will be corrupted as far as possible. After that, it is essential for federation. That means the bicameral legislature is very suitable for federal type of government, in which lower house will represent or stands for its natural principles, as the members elected to the lower house are elected directly by the voting process of the people, and the upper house will stands for federal principle, as these are the members from the state. Then after that, number 8 advantage was it has perfect and sound laws. That means whatever the errors or mistakes are made, that is to be, if one houses of the parliament has done mistake, that can be rectified by the other houses of the parliament, and in this way it will help them to give a perfect and sound law which will be beneficial for the citizens of that particular country. And last advantage was it has conservative attitude. That means bicameral legislature is having conservative attitude. The members of this house are generally aged and experienced. Due to the age factor, that most of the members are aged, and along with that they have vast experience also. Then these two things will help in what? These two things will help out to prevent mistakes. Clear? So we have come to the end of today's topic. So I hope that whatever the points we have read today, it is now clear to you regarding the merits or advantages of bicameral legislature. In the next class, we will start with the demerits of bicameral legislature. Thank you.